Good morning, YouTube. I'm in downtown Dayton. Yes, I've covered this site numerous times, like I have that building across the street, the arcade. But recently, in the last week or two, and unfortunately, I have not had time to get to many videos lately. I've been pretty busy and the weather was pretty damn miserable for the last 8 or 9 days. I did a video by the river last night, that Island Metro Park. It was flooded out. But anyway, the old Dayton Daily News site, which I've covered, you know, this boondoggle in various videos. Now, Steve Rauch apparently bought the property back from the city, or was gifted it back, or some shit. He wants to sell this, or they do, for $950,000 for this piece of shit toilet bowl property. There is no way nobody in their right mind is going to pay that amount of money. And of course, you know, they're banking that eventually that the University of Dayton is going to go in and, you know, say it's going to go in and try and help save the arcade. And there was something about it could be like $80 or $90 million to do the arcade, which I believe that it could be even higher. But anybody that would spend $80 or $90 million over there, or even almost $1 million here, they're very stupid. I just don't see any way anybody's going to want to buy this and develop it unless you practically give it away. They've really ruined this building when it's been exposed and everything. You know, plus eventually it's going to have to be torn down. So you're probably looking at another $200,000 to $400,000 to probably demolish this. And the only thing they're going to do, they'll just, you know, build more apartments, more of that type of BS, and, you know, vice versa. They're down here because they really don't know what else to do with all this property down here. And of course, the Grant Deneau building, which I've covered that across the street, that is closed and 100% vacant. So the city's just got way too much property that's just not usable down here. And if they do ever want to redevelop this, there has to be demand from the people. Not all this fake demand that they constantly try and drum up, which is what it really is. But $950,000 probably, plus another $200,000 to $400,000. So probably you're looking at over $1 million you'd have to spend on the site. But I'm sure if you were to offer less, I think it would probably get accepted, just for the simple fact, just so Steve Rauch and whoever down at City Hall could just get rid of this property. You see, it's not even being maintained. The grass is long. It hasn't even been cut here. But Steve Rauch should have been made to have cleaned up this property, and of course he wasn't, because he's butt buddies with city council and he's a Democrat himself. So there's special favors that are exchanged back and forth. So, you know, Steve Rauch, he's a crook like his buddies down at City Hall are. And this has been like 3 or 4 years ago, at least 2 to 4 years. You know, when they had the botched demolition here that damaged part of this old building. This was the old Daily News building that they tore down, and then they damaged part of the building they were trying to preserve during demolition, and eventually that's going to have to come down. You know, and that's not going to be cheap. So all this just unrealistic stupidity, you know, and vice versa. I'm sure if Steve Rauch would gladly almost give this property away if he could, but there's no way you're going to get $950,000 for this crap. And the only thing they're going to really do is just, you know, build you know, more housing and that, and vice versa, because they've already got office space galore that they can't use down here. And I don't know if the University of Dayton will, how much they really want to get involved with the arcade, but I've talked about that in numerous videos. That's the ultimate cry wolf story over there that they've tried to do something with for the last 25 years and nothing ever gets off the ground. Every 2 or 3 years there's a new story about a new developer that tries to do something there, but nothing ever happens with it. But anyway, you know, it's time the city leaders and that get their expectations realistic. Stop focusing on shit that's not realistic and shit that there's no demand for. Because eventually, like this arcade, eventually if nobody's gonna fix this up in the next, I'm gonna say 10 or 15 years, eventually they're gonna have to probably tear this down. It would be a sad day, but I just, you know, don't see any either use to it. And the thing is, with all these office buildings, you know, these are tens of millions of dollars to tear these down. We got way too many of these as well. And it's going to cost tens of millions of dollars. And the problem is you cannot find enough government agencies to fill all this stuff, which I've talked about in numerous videos, that most of the jobs that are down here are all government and taxpayer jobs. Well, but anyway, that's going to be it for this one.